24K Sports. Make sure to subscribe.
Andy McNamara with you live from the Sport Card Expo International Center in Mississauga. I had a chance to chat with NHL Hall of Famers, all-time greats, Bobby and Dennis Hall. Have a look. Hello, everybody. Who's ready to talk and chat and hear some stories from Bobby and Dennis Hall? There you go. And they'll be signing autographs a little bit later, right over there. Pleasure to have you guys here at the Sport Card Expo International Center. I'm Andy McNamara from TSN. Dennis to my left and Bobby on the far side. Guys, first of all, you guys can share that mic. I gotta know, growing up, okay, you guys two of the all-time greatest of all time. Who's the better hockey player? Growing up.
How long have you not been growing up?
Well, I wasn't around when you guys were growing up.
I guess not. Or you'd know that I was the best.
Oh, Bobby, do you agree? Is that disputable?
His sister Maxine was the best.
Oh, all right.
Bobby's sister too.
So now, Bobby, I heard stories that you would not leave a game until you signed every single autograph before getting on the team bus. Is that true?
Not true, totally. There were times when we had to catch flights.
Ah, okay.
And I couldn't spend that much time with the fans, but generally, and I've got a story, and Dennis, I think, has got a story about the fans. I tried to look after them all because I think that you fans are the reason that we played. I always said that I played likely for 5 reasons: to make a boyhood dream come true, to play in the National Hockey League. I can't remember when I didn't dream about either getting old enough or big enough, and to make that boyhood dream come true, and then to be able to entertain you people royally. That was next on the agenda, to work up a sweat so we could drink a little beer and chase girls. That was my 5 reasons. That was my 5 reasons for playing. But there was a story in Montreal. Finally got on the bus, and my seat was second from the back on the right-hand side, and I just got sitting down, and there was a commotion up front, and Billy Ray says, "Get that goddamn kid out of here! Get him out of here!" And here comes this kid heading back towards the back of the bus, looking in every seat like this, looking for somebody. And apparently that somebody was me, because when he got to me, he said, "Bobby, my name is Rajaul, and I'm going to be playing against you someday." And they finally got him out, but that was an experience. And another time, Dennis, tell him the story about somebody complaining about me keeping the bus going, and Billy Ray came back. What'd you say?
Well, all these fourth liners and losers, they all wanted to get going, and Bobby was outside signing autographs, of course, and John Marks, I think, said, "Come on, let's get going." And Billy Ray came back and said, "If it was you, John, we'd be leaving. But it's Bobby and we're not leaving."
Amazing. And one of the other things that you guys are credited with, and Bobby, I think maybe you specifically, is the curved blade. That is something where you had that major hook, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys were one of the first ones to really kind of make that a thing in the National Hockey League. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, where's that young man that was giving us a rundown on the old bits? He forgot to mention one of our good friends and teammates, Mr. Stan Makita. And Stan was a feisty little guy, and he hated Northland sticks. And when he'd get a stick that he didn't like, he'd curse the Northland logo and lean on it and snap the stick. And I said, "Stan," "don't break your stick. If you don't like it, put it on my rack, and I'll see that some deserving kid gets it." he said, "To hell with it," and he'd lay on it and snap it. So we're practicing one day, and McKean and I were standing up at center ice, and Dennis and the group were down practicing the power play and penalty killing, and Stan's got a Northland, of course, and he's just oathing that this Northland stick, and now he's leaning on it trying to break it, and wasn't heavy enough. He was only 165 pounds. It was late in the year, and couldn't break it. So he went over to our door of our bench and jammed the stick into the door jamb, and then tried to break it that way. Well, what happened? The blade split in two down the middle, and the bottom stayed in and the top stayed popped out, and he still kept rearing on the stick trying to break it, and it came out looking a little bit like this. And we had 22 steps that we went down and came up for our dressing room. And Dennis, you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Go ahead. How long are you going to be?
So, and we didn't even know enough to bring out an extra stick for practice. What you did, you went and whacked your stick or broken stick on the glass, and the trainer would come up and see who it was, and then he'd have to go back down and bring up his stick anyhow. But in the meantime, there were a bunch of pucks laying in the net, and Makita's got this half-broken stick with a big hook in the blade, and went over to the net, and I was watching, and he'd hawk a puck out of the net and snap it in the net, hawk one out, snap it again, and for about 6 or 8 of these pucks that were in there, and I'm thinking he's really gone berserk, and finally his stick came up, and he tried to throw the broken one up on the organ loft there in the old Chicago Stadium, and when he came back, I said, "Stan, what on earth were you doing? Fishing those pucks out of the net and snapping them?" He says, "Well, Bobby, when I tried to break my stick, I put a hell of a wow in the blade, and can you ever shoot the puck with a hook of the blade?"
And that's how it happened.
That's how it all got started.
Wow.
Wait, we got still the same old Northland. He said, "After practice, I'm going to call Northland and have them send me a half a dozen with the hook and the blade." And I said, "Well, just send me half a dozen, only just hook them the other way." And we didn't know how to bend them at that time. And I said, "Well, the only thing I can think of, we'll run them under hot water until they get lithe and willowy. Then we jam them under a door and rear them up and put a chair under them and leave them there all night. And when we come back to practice the next morning, they'd be just like this." That's when Dennis got using them, and it was either top corner or second balcony. Right? That's how the hook stick got.
And changed the game forever. My goodness. Dennis, we're here with Bobby and Dennis Hall. Tell us a few, if you can, road stories. Something that might be clean for the audience. Anything that stands out to you all those years on the road. There's got to be some legendary tales of you and Bobby on the road.
Well, I think that was our favorite time to go on the road, right? It's just like you're away from home now, right? But obviously you don't know what's going on back home. But
right. I'm sure I'm not going to have as much fun as you guys did here today. I'll tell you that.
Well, we had lots of fun, and we had a nice group of guys to hang around with. Chico Mackey, Doug Jarrett, Pip Martin, Jim Pappin. And we always went out together and had fun together, and didn't matter what city we were in, we had good times. But Kenny Hodge, one night we were going out for dinner and we were trying to get rid of him because he was a pain in the ass. I said, "Kenny, where's your father work?" He said he doesn't, he's a bus driver. But anyway, we're trying to get away from him, and Chico tripped over a curb and sprained his ankle and couldn't play the next day, and Billy Ray was slightly upset. But Bobby had some young lady, I guess it was in California, obviously, and he was late for the bus and pulls up in a Corvette, with this beautiful young lady, and Billy Ray opened the door and he said, "Bobby, you get on here and bring her with you." So Bobby brought her on. He said, "Take her to the back of the bus." So he took her to the back of the bus, and we all goggled at her, and finally took her off. And Billy Ray said to all the other guys on the bus, he said, "Now, if you're late, you better have someone like that, or we're leaving without you."
Amazing. Oh, look at that.
Let's see that.
Let's bring that over.
That's for Bobby.
Wow.
You remember that? Like it was yesterday.
See all those people in the seats? They're all dead.
That's for Bobby. Oh, there you go. All right, Bobby. Take care, buddy.
Wow.
You know what? Let's get some questions from the audience here. Who has some questions for Bobby or Dennis Hall? We'll take a few minutes here. There we go. Here. Oh, sir.
How about jokes, sir? What's your
Just want to know the toughest goaltender you ever had to face.
Toughest goaltender you ever had to face?
Well, I think it's different for everyone. Like Ken Dryden was supposed to be fabulous, but I have pictures of me scoring on him from center ice. The toughest goalie for me was Johnny Bauer. He was fabulous. And, the interesting thing is that Bobby scored his first goal against Jacques Plante. Right?
I thought it was against Harry Lumley, but they say it was Dippy Simmons. I don't remember.
Whatever.
1957.
Okay. But anyway, my great toughest goalie for me was Johnny Bowser. You know how I put my head down and slap it from center ice? And I went to slap it once with my head down, and I looked up and hit it right in Johnny Bauer's pads. He was 2 feet in front of me. I said, "Johnny, what are you doing out here?" He said, "I've seen you play."
We got one more question here to wrap it up.
Bobby, what was your first feeling when you scored 50 goals?
First time I scored 50 was back in the 61-62 season. And got to the 10 final games of that season. And, well, I get a little ahead of myself. Can I tell the story? I had a horrendous start, son, in the 61-62 season. That was after we'd 61-62. That was after we'd won the Stanley Cup in 61, I should say. And I only had 13 goals in the first 35 games. And I rented a home from an elderly couple in Maywood, Illinois, and they had one of those old sway back beds, like so. And I was waking up in the morning more tired than when I went to bed. And around Christmas time, I told Brett's mother, what's her name, Dennis? We played 70 games and it was the 69th game, and I got lucky and scored against Jacques Plante at that time for number 49. And then we went into New York, and Reggie Fleming stole the puck from Doug Harvey and Junior Langlois and got it to me, and I fired a handbacker over Gump Wordsley's blocker and for number 50, and it was elating, son. Only 2 other people in the National Hockey League had scored 50 at that time, and that was Maurice the Rocket Richard back in 45 during the war years, and the year before that, Bernie Jeffrion, Boom Boom Jeffrion, had scored the year before, and very, very elating and satisfying.
Excellent, great questions. Thank you very much to Bobby and Dennis Hall. They're going to be over just to our right, signing autographs. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.